Hello and welcome to episode 19, I think, of the 361 Recovery Programme for Women. And today it's called Flowers. 1. Thanks a bunch. Say it with flowers. Is it just me, or are these bunches of flowers a sorry attempt to show emotion when we get them from men? Could they not just simply say it instead of trying to say it with flowers? All too often in my life, flowers have been a half-assed attempt by a man to say I love you, or I'm sorry, or let's have sex, or even goodbye. What do we actually say when we say it with flowers? 2. Bin it. My last marriage was punctuated with bunches of red roses, always a dozen, because this psychopath had read somewhere that this meant that this symbolised that he loved me. But over the years, these flowers began to symbolise something else, an apology. Maybe it was after a bout of abusive behaviour. And the flowers would arrive. And over the years, they even began to arrive from other continents where he was doing business. The final bunch went straight into the bin because even though they looked lovely, don't get me wrong, I would rather have had his half of the mortgage payment. Reader, we were repossessed, but at least the bin smelt sweet. 3. Mother. On Mother's Day, supermarkets are now flooded with the cheapest bunch of tat and dyed and artificial flowers ever seen outside of Vegas. This can only mean one thing if you're a mom. Men lack the imagination to choose us anything for ourselves. If I'm wrong, then I'm sorry, but the evidence is there in the cut price aisle next to the donuts and the cheap wine. What are these bunches saying to our mothers? Are we just too busy to care? 4. If I have not failed. Having finished tutoring a client last week, there was a beautiful bunch of multicoloured roses on the desk, and I said, "Oh, that's so beautiful." And this lady said, "Oh yes, we've been married 27 years today." It stopped me in my tracks because I realised that if I'd been married from marriage number 1, don't judge me, it would have been 27 years. So in a way, this woman was the woman I could have been if I had not failed. Pray you never meet this person. Pray you never meet a woman you could have been if you hadn't failed. It's horrible. 5. Question it. So these flowers and this thought haunted me all that night. Just as the sorry flowers after the abuse had haunted me, and the I love you, not really flowers had haunted me. These flowers, I decided, were what could have been flowers. And I wanted that bunch of flowers, but more than anything, I wanted to not have failed. I don't know if that's grammatically correct. I wanted not to have failed. And this is one of my biggest wishes. What did I do with that feeling? Well, for 2 decades, I'd reached across the bed and got a bottle and numbed it, but this time I did nothing. 5. Sit with it. I sat with the feeling and then I began to question it. Why did I see myself as a failure? My marriage was, but I wasn't. In fact, I'd survived a really nasty experience, and although I had no flowers and no home to call my own, I could have bought myself a bunch of flowers if I wanted, at least. Why did I create this fantasy marriage in my head? She may have been happy or she may not have been. Why did I need to create something perfect and then mock myself for not having achieved it? My perfection crucifies me. The 361 Recovery Programme helps me sometimes in real time as I devise and teach it, because I'm still learning too. It's been created from real life situations like this and these feelings of loss that can hit us even after 20 years. Anything we've not fully dealt with comes back to us in grief. 6. Keep on learning. Loss is a series of unexploded minds, and loss is really unpredictable. The 361 helps you to see your strengths and to meet and clearly evaluate your failures without all the negative self-talk or the drink. Failure teaches us much more than success ever can. You know that that's true. The 361 helps you to express what you already know. You're not a failure. I didn't need that bouquet, and they were just a mind that I detonated with the right questions. I didn't judge myself. I'm not a failure, but I do sometimes feel it regularly. I know my mind creates these fantasy images, and I don't know why, but I'm still learning. The 361 is a daily practice that helps you with moments like this, and the moments I have too. The 361 helps you to stop and smell the flowers, even if you've bought them yourself. Hope you enjoyed it. 361 podcast coming soon, and 361 recovery program out on Mondays and Wednesdays on YouTube and blog. Go and buy yourself some flowers.